Welcome to season 9 of the award-winning Retail Tea Break podcast. My name is Melissa Moore, the retail advisor. I'm a retail educator, trainer, and retail conference MC. And each week, as your host, I'll be joined by industry experts, retailers, and brands to dispel the myths, share their knowledge, and give you an insight into the retail industry. You can listen back to previous 8 seasons on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on YouTube. And while you're there, please hit that follow button so that you get to listen first every week. And remember, sharing is caring in the retail industry. Share an episode across any of the platforms with your network. And if you're on social media, tag me, Melissa Moore, and the Retail Tea Break podcast. So in the meantime, grab that cup of tea, sit back and enjoy season 9 of the Retail Tea Break podcast. This episode of the Retail Tea Break is sponsored by AutoAddress, the smarter way to capture addresses and stop delivery issues before they happen. Did you know that around 20% of all shipping addresses entered at the checkout are incorrect or incomplete, leading to failed or delayed deliveries, wasted admin time, lost revenue, and of course, frustrated customers? So whether it's typos, missing information, or messy express checkout data, AutoAddress catches bad addresses before they cost you time, money, or customers. So check out autoaddress.com and try it free for 14 days. Today, I'm joined by the founder of an Irish brand renowned for its plant-powered, award-winning products. Guided by science and sustainability, today's guest promotes simple, effective skincare using high-quality plant ingredients made in Ireland. Her mission is to make a difference in people's lives by making a difference to their skin. She takes the responsibility of creating products people apply to their skin as a matter of trust and works to ensure that everyday moments of looking after your skin are to be treasured. Stocked nationwide in more than 600 stores, Kinvara Skincare has over 100 industry awards, earned more than 5,000 five-star reviews from customers, with 98% of customers recommending the brand to their friends and family. Dr. Joanne Reilly, founder and CEO of Kinvara Skincare, welcome to the Retail Tea Break podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Melissa. This is lovely.
Oh, I'm delighted that we can chat today. I know the brand's been around for a little while now. It's been incredibly successful and you've got some amazing things coming up. So really looking forward to chat. But look, in the age-old tradition of the Retail Tea Break podcast, in the time that it takes to boil a kettle, which I am told is about 2 minutes, tell us a little bit more about you and the start of the brand.
Yeah, well, thank you for that introduction. I think it covered so much. Yes, I'm the owner and founder of Kinvara Skincare. I've been feeling my way around this industry, certainly in the early days, for probably around 15 years. I've probably been really in business for around 12. Yeah, we're your high street, natural, clean beauty skincare brand, and we're found in health stores, pharmacies, dumb stores, airports, online. So, yeah, my mission was and still is to make a difference to people's skin because I was my first customer. So, I really formulated because my own skin was tricky. And from that basis, I've always been really demanding for the customer because I suppose maybe that's what I was looking for. I was looking for something that would make my skin feel better at a price I could afford, from a brand I could trust, and that actually was nice to use. So I think we've achieved all of that. I mean, thankfully, all those nice stats that social proof you put in there, they're true. And we work really, really hard as a team here in Galway, and we've got people in other parts of the world to help us achieve that. So, yeah.
How exciting. And you obviously started off as this one woman machine, as you say, because you had the problem and you were finding the solution, not just for obviously the customer at that stage, but for yourself. It's amazing then that you were wearing obviously so many hats to start this business. How has that then changed and developed over the last few years?
All the hats, wearing all the hats. How has it changed? It's changed in a really good way because look, when you're starting out, especially as I was, with a tiny amount of money and just a can-do attitude and a strong belief that I could actually do better than the choices I was being offered at the time. And of course, utilizing my background in science was helpful. So look, I was up for it, but as you get more into the business of business, you realize that actually it's better to hire people who are better than you at certain parts of the job. It's great to have come from where I am because I understand a lot around logistics, operations. Obviously, product development is my area, business development, marketing, e-commerce. So I can sit in a room, talk to agencies, experts, third parties, and really be able to, have input and value. And that really comes from having done having faced those challenges and asked, as my sister would say, the daft lassie question. So I'm very comfortable with asking the daft lassie question and going, what does that mean? So yeah, it's changed in that now. Thankfully, I'm able to spend more time working on the bits that really put us in flow. We had a team day here this week where we were talking about everybody's working styles and trying to ensure that we could do as much to help everybody work in their flow state. So for me, that's product and visualizing. I'm a very visual creative problem solver, so that's where I like to be.
It's so refreshing to hear a CEO saying, actually, you know what? We talk about everyone's strengths, we talk about where they all fit into the bigger picture. Because as you say, you've been there and you've almost done all those jobs,
Yeah.
previously. It's really lovely to know that you're nurturing that team along the same values.
Yeah. Well, look, they're really good. And we do spend time trying to really ensure that we get a good fit for the culture as well. We really do live our values. Sustainability is not just a word on a website. It is something that we do, we have this filter for when we're making business decisions. So you do need somebody who's going to really get it and not go, why are you bothering to do that? So yeah, we do. We spend time to try and make sure that everybody is happy. Look, and I was saying to people the other day, 100% of your job isn't going to be in that sweet spot. We all have to do parts that are going to be maybe where we are going to have to go, oh, how do I make that work or whatever? But that's why it's called work. Otherwise, it would be called play.
Absolutely. And I love that. And I suppose it's such a creative space for them to get the most out of every moment as well. And on that, then, like, obviously, you speak so fondly of your team, but you speak incredibly fondly of your loyal customers as well. And they really are loyal, aren't they?
Yeah, we have, I don't know, is it Heineken or Carlsberg, whoever says, but we have the best customers in the world. I'm pretty sure, yeah, they're wonderful. They keep in close contact with us. They're engaged with us all the time, emailing us, asking questions. They really keep us on it. And yeah, I think we're really aware that, today, thousands of women will have woken up in Ireland and other elsewhere and reached for Kinvara skincare products, put it on their skin, consumed some of it because some of what we put on our skin we absorb. And I just think I really am very mindful of that, the responsibility of it, the privilege of it. And I think maybe they get that. I don't know how we communicate it, but they seem to respond to it, which is lovely.
You care. And as you say, if it's such a privilege for you to deliver these products and be part of, I suppose, their routine, their life in that respect, I think that care and that nurturing definitely comes across. And do you think that's because, you were the original customer?
Yeah, I think so. Look, there is nothing planned about how this has happened. It has been organic in every possible way. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have some massive vision of I'm going to do this. It was much more like my skin is really uncomfortable. I don't know what to use. I tried as much as I could. Some things were too expensive, too fragranced, too made things worse. So I was really aware about how underserved women are when it comes to skincare. And I was really like, that's just not good enough. It just felt like, why should we have just this? So yeah, I think I've kind of had that like bolshy attitude to no, we need to have better. And I was really, I suppose, because of circumstances at the time, I was really mindful too about trying to deliver that in a high street kind of way in terms of our convenience and accessibility and price point. And for the quality of the ingredients and the formulations and the packaging, we really do work to try and make that price point and the value part, as well as the values, the value part as accessible for as many people as possible. But yeah, we do care.
And it's certainly working, as you say. You've got incredibly loyal customers. They love the brand, they love the different category. You're speaking to them. And again, I think it's because you are one of them that
Yeah.
messaging gets across. You mentioned retail there, obviously. What role does the online retail? So, obviously, you've got your own websites, you have an awful lot of physical retail stockits, as we said, around the country. How does this all kind of work together for your brand strategy then, I suppose, to meet the customer and get the brand out there?
Well, I suppose it is that we're trying to meet them where they're at. And for some people, shopping online is the most convenient option for them. We we're selling online for, like, I think this is probably our fifth website. In the early days, it was Magento, an absolutely horrible platform that we found tricky to manage. Now we're with Shopify, which is so much easier. So yeah, I mean, e-commerce makes up a significant proportion of our revenue stream, and it's really important. But it is like having a business within a business. You know, there's your retail business, then there's your online business. So for a small business like we are, there's still many facets to it. It is important. I think one thing was during COVID, obviously having our website up and running and having our logistics and all the partners that you needed there. We didn't have to start doing that. We were already doing that. And obviously, we were lucky in that we were in selling in stores that were deemed essential. So our business really didn't suffer so much in that regard. Really, during those years, it was stock. It was trying to get stock from our manufacturers because they were rushing to make hand sanitizers. So there was a few months there where we literally had nothing to sell. But those days are behind us, which is wonderful. So yeah, I think what was interesting about that was retailers themselves were then actually putting their own products online, their own what they'd sell in the stores. So suddenly you're like going, oh, we've a lot more competition even online in Ireland in a small market. So that's been interesting, I suppose, from the point of view of trying to manage those different channels and the different competing demands. But you just have to get comfortable with not always being able to please everybody all the time and doing your very best with the end user in mind. That's how we really come to the decisions that we have to make in that regard.
Which is fantastic. And obviously it works. As you say, you're on your fifth iteration of the website, which is absolutely glorious. It's user friendly. It has everything there. It's very easy. That mixed in with the fact then you have these retailers, as you say, you can't necessarily control what way your product shows up in these stores. Do
Mm.
you just prefer the fact that you have this kind of brand proof out there in many respects, whether you're physically in your local store or whether you're jumping online at 2 a.m. because, the baby's up or you're wide awake? Would you rather then, in that respect, that the brand is out there as opposed to, I suppose, having the control that you said you can't always have with a retailer, but yet they want you and it works?
Yeah, I think convenience is huge because I
Mm.
remember, like, at the time when I was looking for product, it was just all online. And I suppose that's really kind of influenced the business and its evolution. And that I've probably brought that traditional part of how business used to be before social media and the internet. But I think it's really important and I think it's all doable. I think everybody just realizes that the more exposure you have, be it online or in store, it is the attention thing. It is customers going, oh, I saw you online and now I'm in store. So it does work. And we know that there's a few clusters in certain areas where we're actually in quite a few retail stock is close together and they would have, their own online retail as well as ours. And everybody, we actually do really well. So surprisingly, and sometimes for stockers, you have to go, actually relative to other places, this is actually supporting everybody. So that can be a hard one to kind of give context or explain sometimes, but it is true. Our data supports that.
It's really refreshing to hear you say that, Joanne, because that's certainly always been my gut feeling as an
Mm.
outsider looking in. And as you say, isn't it beneficial for your customer at the end of the day? They can literally find you now anywhere. And I'm certainly seeing you pop up all over the place over the last few weeks, whether it's on your socials, online, in stores, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the packaging, I'm seeing the brand, which is gorgeous. I think, as you said, it makes you so accessible, and that's pleasing the customer. And of course, it's exciting these new ones that are finding you for the first time as well, which is gorgeous. But that's all the good stuff. And I hate to talk about the negative, but
Go
again,
for it.
because you've worn all these hats and because you've been around a little while now, what are the biggest challenges or learnings that you've taken from the last few years?
Hmm, challenges or learnings. I suppose it is that bit I was trying to allude to earlier around having, multiple businesses in the one
Mm.
business. Trying to balance that is key. Also, e-commerce is really challenging. I suppose I find it really challenging because my background isn't that. So it is something that I have to really kind of try and keep on top of and relevant with the different changes. There's been so many changes, iOS 14 algorithm changes, AI overview is going to come in, ChatGPT OpenAI is going to have a checkout section soon, and people really don't know how it's going to impact online, but it will do. And trying to get yourself ready for something that you can't even really visualize is difficult. And yeah, it will impact people, but I think, from that regard, the business being diversified in retail, bricks and mortars, and online, there is a comfort in that. We're not just selling on, let's say, TikTok shop, and you're just very mindful there of political factors that could, you know, turn off your business overnight. So I think for me, it's really nice to have, diversification in your revenue streams. But I don't know if I answered your question, Melissa. What
No,
would
again, I think there's real honesty there that you do have to be prepared, even if you don't know what you're necessarily preparing for. But
Yeah.
I think the agility that you've already shown in the business over the last few years, and again, it comes back down to that really simple factor. You know your customer, you know where they're going to want you to show up, that you're
Mm.
going to make it work. So yeah, the challenges, but it's almost that you have the solution as your very foundation that's going to make these future challenges possible.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, I think so. I think so. And I think in that regard too, I suppose for us, and it would be different for every business, having a good tech stack, being okay with investing in tech, I think is really important. And just look, we're going to have to embrace whatever AI brings us and just try and get ahead of it as much as you can. So, yeah, I think the challenges would be, those kind of things. Hire good people, invest where you can, be comfortable with everybody not being completely, not pleasing everybody all the time. I don't know. And just keep going.
I think that's the biggest message for sure. And you have certainly done that. But again,
Yeah.
it's having that foresight that it's okay not to have all the answers right now or to have it planned within an inch of its life for the next 5 years and that you keep rolling with it, which is gorgeous. And on that, obviously, you're Irish based. You're down the road from me here in Galway. But as you scale, and you certainly are, how do you view the trade off between, I suppose, staying local, and I kind of mean that almost in an Irish sense. You've obviously got that craft Irish aspect too because of the way you make, but then obviously hoping to scale and expand into larger retail chains, both domestically because you're well known here, but
Mm.
also internationally, and I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah. I think, you know what, we took our time identifying our first international market for that particular reason. And I suppose you alluded to it earlier when you were talking about health stores, and that's where the brand started. And I think partly because health store customers really put a value on the quality of ingredient, like they're literally in a health store looking for products that are going to help their well-being. So they really get that, and they're looking for the education that often they're going to get. So for us, I was very mindful of, I think we need to start in that same journey in a new country. Our first international market, it's only been this year, and that was after assessing a number, and it is Canada. We just launched there in September. Really, it's been like a year and a half in just developing it from, initially assessing the marketplace to actually being on shelf and in store. I think what's really interesting is I don't know if we fully realize just how competitive the Irish market is, even for a segment like cosmetics, like skincare. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of brands, lots. And it's probably too much for our small marketplace, our small country, our population. But at the same time, because it's so competitive, everybody is keeping abreast of things. We're all, what is that? Rising tides, all boats. Everybody is really agile, nimble. You're like trying to, you have to be competitive. So I was quite surprised when we went to Canada and, we're talking to buyers and distributors and stockists. And they're like, can you do this? And we're like, yeah, we do that all the time. What was really good is we're local and we're craft origin and we're Irish. But when it came down to that particular market, and I can't speak for another market, which maybe is going to be more demanding in a different way, but we were very deliberate about trying to get the right fit. But yeah, we were like, every ask that was asked of us in terms of, supports or marketing, we're like, yeah, we already do that. So from that point of view, that wasn't the biggest learning or requirement for us. But I think though, you know, the Irish customers, I was saying, because we're so close to them, they're asking us questions all the time and they really keep us on our toes. So that is really good because we haven't been asked anything by anybody anywhere else that an Irish customer hasn't already asked us. So this is a really good incubator for exporting. I think probably a lot of brands are probably more ready than maybe they might feel. That's been my experience in Canada, at least. And as I said, I don't know what it's like elsewhere. I think the other thing that is really important, though, is being Irish made. Our products are made in Ireland, bar one, which is made in France because we can't get it made here. That really did go down well. Like they were like, oh my God, Ireland is exotic. And you're like, oh, right, that makes it feel tropical, which, walking through Galway today, I can tell you it was anything but tropical. But, that was a selling point. That was a plus. I think there is no barrier that is an obstacle. It's just something that might need a bit of thought. I think so long as people give themselves enough margin to be able to support whatever the sales ask is, I think that's it.
Such incredible kind of learnings there and also insights. And I'm really grateful that you've shared them because I think a lot of brands nowadays feel that they need to rush to expand. They need to be showing that they're expanding, that they're leaving Ireland, that they're going, as you say, to the more tropical countries around the world. But you
Mhm.
did the complete opposite. And actually doing the complete opposite really meant you were ready. And as you said, the customer feedback, the way the brand is, the way you know your product inside out, you were absolutely ready to be parked in front of, as you say, buyers and retailers. And you had all the answers. And I'm sure that's why so quickly they wanted you on their shelves, which is incredible. How's the journey been since September?
Yeah, it's been great. First pallets orders gone and out there and trainings happening. So really good. It's been a really nice environment. I know people talk about Canadians being lovely, but that's been our experience. So, so nice. So yeah, and like they get the product. There was no hard sell. They were like, yeah, we get it, we want it. So yeah.
I'm delighted for you. And then this
Mm.
leads to something incredible. We were obviously talking about your journey with Canada, over the last few weeks, but this idea of expansion led you down a completely unexpected path. And I'm going to let you tell the story because I'm so excited by what's coming next.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yes, it was when I was out chatting on my first market research trip out to Canada and meeting various people, and they were like, in Canada to be compliant with the requirements for French Canadian, you're going to have to put French Canadian on your packaging. And I was like, okay, because we do a lot of, educational content on our packaging, maybe relative to some other brands. So I was coming back and having to think about it. I was like, we're really going to have to completely make space on what is prime real estate. A carton on the
Mm.
label is prime real estate. And I was like, how are we going to make space for another language? And it's not token in terms of like we want a word here or you say this. It's literally has to be full parity, 50-50. So I was like, came back and I was like, Canada is the one. We're going to go for this market, but we have to bring out our packaging and it's going to involve this. And it did involve a rebrand. So the brand has gone, we've internally and quietly had a rebrand within the brand while juggling all the other parts of the business this year. So yeah, I have a little example. So
So I
this
must say at this stage, if you're listening, jump on to YouTube and I'll mark this moment because it's stunning.
thank you, Melissa. Yeah, so this is what we've been selling, and this is our bestseller actually, our face serum. So this is how we had it, and then we're like, we are gonna have to. Oops, I'm knocking bottles here. We're going to have to bring it out into en français, Canadian French, have it localized.
Oh.
And then I was like, well, I cannot in good conscience do it in for another marketplace and put it in another language without actually going and putting it in Irish. So this is our first product in Squelga. So that is English and Irish 50-50 on the entire packaging, on all the cartons, all the products. So it's really interesting. We're all here now learning the different words for Uachtarlé and Ulla Allin, Aigda. And yeah, it's like, it's just been like, this is our body oil. This was what it was like. This is what it is now. And it was brilliant body oil. And now it's called Ulla Iontok Corp. So look, we just felt like it was the right thing to do. There was no commercial reason for it. It's been a cost and a big investment in terms of time and money and logistics and stock management and compliance and regulations and onerous. I will be honest, it's been a lot, but I am so proud of it. Really happy. And to the best of my knowledge, we are the first brand in Ireland from a consumer point of view to bring out 50/50 dual language Irish agus Gaeilge. So yeah, that will be in the shelves like before Christmas. So hopefully people will be able to actually get it and use it themselves and give us feedback. We'd love to know what people think about it because yeah.
I'm delighted for you. And look, as listeners and viewers will know, I was talking to the ladies from Stondoon there a few months ago. My Irish is non-existent, maybe the odd word or two, but I'm so incredibly proud that you made this decision. Because as you say, this has not been a small project. This has been a project on top of a year's trading as per normal that everyone would think. And you've rebranded, but also you've brought the language in. And I think it, having talked to you, it really feels like it's come from the same place that you started the brand with. You know, it's been done for the right reasons, and I think your customers are going to absolutely love it.
And so we love it. And what's really lovely, I don't actually have a carton here. They're on the way from the printer, but we actually have them debossed with this beautiful kind of fan-like rays, and it's inspired by the North sundial. I have to give a shout out to our graphic designer, Kathy from Bullseye Design down in Cork, who has been helping work with me and the team here to just make it a reality. It's been one of the best things I've ever done in the business. I'm really chuffed, really pleased with it. So hopefully people will like it. And my Irish, like you, my Irish is basic. I wish it was better. I wish I could explain this in a dual way. But look, I think we're typical of a lot of people, and that, our Irish is what it is. We would all like it to be better. And you know what? If you use our Kinvara products and you're lucky enough now to have them in the Jew language, you're going to pick up the odd word. I just think it's like, you're just reading it and you're going, oh, that's what that means. Oh, that's what that means. It's just, I just think wouldn't it be amazing if a lot of, consumer like products that you use came out in both languages? Then suddenly, without having to work too hard, you're like going, oh, I remember that word, because it is like that. Even in the office here, we're all like little bubbles of forgotten words from a primary school Irish are like coming. You're going, oh my God, that's what dirtle means. And I know I'm probably murdering how you say it, but yeah, we're all like, just little things. And my daughter, who is a Gaelgore, she was in putting little stickers on different things around the office. So I think the desire to speak our language in people is inherently strong. And sometimes it's just when you exit school and you don't have that. And, in Galway, there are lots of people who are Leafa and have beautiful, beautiful Irish. But for look, the majority of people who don't, I think at least this might be a way to just, pick up the odd fuckle here and there.
And that's what I love. It's going to be able to pick up those little words. It's an education as you're using the products, and that just gets embedded so quickly. So I really do commend what you've done. It's fantastic. I can't wait to see the product in person now and see the way this sits and also see the reaction, because I know it's going to be amazing once customers kind of get their hands on it and they see and hear about what you've done. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I look, it would be great if maybe other people, when they're thinking about artwork or packaging, or maybe from a compliance point of view, if they have to do something, maybe they'll consider it as well. I think it would be brilliant if our government and our state agencies maybe had a look and see if, this Irish movement that has a new energy now in the past while, if they can really maybe try and help support that and encourage people. I'm not advocating that we have extra compliance or costs as small businesses, and I will say it was significant enough. But yeah, maybe it's something that they could think of, because I was really impressed with how straight up the Canadians were. It was like, yeah, you need to put French on. I was like, wow. It wasn't even France, it was Canada.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And again, it's led you and the business down a completely new path, but now open, as you say, for new avenues, new countries. You know, you certainly have proved you can do anything now because you've proven this project.
Yeah, well, you know what? It is really nice, I suppose, without really having that, you know, massive plan. I do feel like, you know what, if we have the opportunity to sell in Spain or China, we have the space. We 50% space there to, localize to people. And I think in a way that isn't a token. Often you pick up packaging and you can see there's other languages, but they're in tiny little bits. And, we're here, and by virtue of our history, we're most of us English speaking. So everything that we kind of pick up is kind of, you're like going, you don't have the inconvenience of maybe being from, another country where it's not going to be on somebody's packaging. So I kind of just thought from that whole transactional thing about respecting the fact that you're getting people's money. I'm thinking if somebody in another country is going to buy it, it would be nice to actually go, do you know what? We recognize we're in your country. This is your language.
Which is just gorgeous. And again, I think it speaks to the values of the brand itself. Well, look, last question then. And I
Yeah.
think you've certainly told us, the big news for the end of this year and launching into 2026. Anything else coming up as we lead into the busiest time of year now over the next kind of few weeks?
I know, fingers crossed, everything goes okay without a hitch. Because, sometimes with e-commerce, the last few weeks, it's like you're in a casino and you're betting on red or black. And you're like, I'm putting it all on red. Anything else? Yeah, well, we have new products coming out in Q1 of next year. We've got 2 SPFs coming out, one a tinted and untinted. Our customers were looking for that. So listening to our customers, yeah, just keeping on really. We'll be really focusing on trying to make Canada a success before we start looking for other new markets. And yeah, just keep on trying to be in the flow.
Well, exciting times for the brand. It really is. With all that hard work done this year, I'm hoping now 2026, I've no doubt, will be just as successful indeed. Well, look, if you've enjoyed today's podcast episode, please do like and share it on any of the podcast platforms with your network. And of course, if you're on social media, tag me, Melissa Moore, and the Retail Tea Break podcast. You can listen back to previous seasons, all 8, 9 of them now on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, hit that follow button so that you get to listen first every week. Connect with myself and Joanne over on LinkedIn. But more importantly, obviously, please go, if you're not already, go and follow Kinvara across social media. And I'll obviously share the details of the website in the show notes. Joanne, it's been incredible. I'm thrilled to hear about the new venture with the new packaging and obviously the branding with the language. So excited to see how that goes. And best of luck with your new Canadian venture too.
Thank you very much. And is it too early to say a happy Christmas? I think it is, but look at.
Why not?
Why not? The Christmas market is up in Eyre Square, so that's what's inspiring, that seasonal greeting. Thank you for, reaching out and for the questions. Yeah, it's been lovely to chat.
Thank you again to AutoAddress for sponsoring today's episode. AutoAddress powers faster checkouts and more accurate deliveries by fixing bad address data before it becomes a problem. So check out autoaddress.com and try it free for 14 days.